Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. In July of last year, Mark Jeffers sprang a bit of an upset, quite a considerable upset over Zak Chelli for the English super middleweight title. Chelli was fancied to beat Jeffers, even though Jeffers came in undefeated. Jeffers at the time was 15-0, no draws, no defeats, only 4 KOs. But people thought Chelli coming in, 13 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. He was on a roll. He'd beaten Anthony Sims Jr., GERMAINE BROWN. Both those were on points. He'd also beaten the previously undefeated Zak Chelli. So he was on a roll, and then he bumped into Jeffers. And to be honest with you, it was a tough fight, but I thought Jeffers thoroughly deserved that decision. Now, Jeffers he's only 25 years old. He kind of looks older, quite a tough-looking kid. 6 foot tall and orthodox stance. Doesn't do anything really fancy and doesn't seem to have much power. And God knows he was hitting Chelli with clean shots. Wasn't really budging him. But he probably hits harder than his record suggests. He hits hard enough to get you respect and to put you off your offence. But he does everything well. He's one of those fighters who's sort of well-rounded, I guess is the phrase. And he fights, in the first defence of his title, he fights GERMAINE BROWN. This is a guy who has a 13-2 record. 2 defeats were on points. One of them was actually to Zak Chelli. That was in 2022. And then he went over to Italy, fought Ivan Zucco, who's undefeated, and lost a 10-round unanimous decision. So he lost 2 on the bounce. The Zucco fight was in March of last year, and since then he's only had a little sort of 3-round TKO over a journeyman. So you could say that there's a possibility. I mean, at 29, he's probably in his physical prime, GERMAINE BROWN. But you could say, you could sort of cast doubts on the fact that he might be a little bit perhaps lacking in confidence. Maybe there's a few doubts, a few questions in his mind. Whereas Jeffers, you would expect off the back of the Chelli victory, his confidence is going to be sky high. And they clash on Saturday at the Echo Arena in Liverpool. And I think this has a potential to be a sort of the fight that will, one of those fights that sort of slips under the radar that's actually worth a look, because neither guy has much power. GERMAINE BROWN has only got 4 knockouts in 13 wins. Only 4 knockouts for Jeffers. So neither of them's got one-punch power. And that can often mean when you put 2 fighters like that together, both of whom are either in or near their prime, you're going to get action. You're going to get a lot of back and forth punches, a lot of action, 1 round to this guy, 1 round to the other guy. So it's quite possible that this might come down to mentally who wants it, who believes that they've got it, who believes they can take the fight. Now, don't forget, English title fights are not 12 rounds, they're 10 rounds, which I think can make a big difference. And I would say overall, I think Jeffers is probably like I say, a more well-rounded fighter than Brown. Brown ain't bad, good domestic level fighter. But if you look at his record, there's no real, none of them sort of spring out and hit you in the face. Like back in 2022, he beat Charlie Schofield, who was 17-1. That was a 10-round unanimous decision. But apart from that, I mean, he did have a win over Dmitry Chudinov, who was at the back end of his career. But Dmitry Chudinov, there were two brothers. Dmitry Chudinov was the one who fought Chris Eubank Jr. years ago, got stopped in the 12th round. I think he had a WBA interim belt or a regular belt or whatever the hell they call those things. And Brown actually won a 10-round decision over it. No, it was an 8-round decision over him. So, but apart from that, there aren't really many people on his record. And when he has stepped up against Zucco and Chelli, which is recently, one of those was in 2022, one was only last year, less than a year ago, he has been found wanting a little bit. Whereas again, Jeffers, when he stepped up, he really took his opportunity. Now, I get the impression that Brown's probably as good as he's going to get. Like I say, he's 29. At 25, Jeffers, I think there's room for improvement there. certainly in terms of reaching your peak, your physical peak, in terms of strength. Like I say, he seems to be dedicated to the cause. He doesn't seem to be the sort of kid who'd mess around outside the ring. He showed a really good engine against Chelli as well. And Chelli had his moments. This wasn't an easy fight for Jeffers. Chelli at times looked like he was threatening to come back into it in the second half of the fight, but Jeffers kind of contained him and then pulled away. I think if I have to pick a winner for this one, I think Jeffers will win on points over Brown. And I think it will be an entertaining 10-rounder. I think Jeffers will probably win 96, 94, 97, 93. Those are, that sort of area. I think Brown might have his moments, but probably those moments will come when Jeffers is taking his foot off the gas. I think when Jeffers decides, okay, I'm gonna get my engine running here, I think he'll probably sort of he'll punch first and probably have the final word as well. Even though Brown will remain competitive, I see Jeffers winning, like I say, probably about 7 rounds. But I think this will be a good fight. I think this will be a really good fight. And definitely watch this one. That card, actually, that card at the Echo Arena is pretty decent. I mean, heaven knows that, Sky and Ben Shalom have been taking a lot of heat lately, or certainly over the last year. But this ain't a bad card, because you've got Zak Chelli and Chelli fighting. Well, that's a rematch because they drew first time. You've got Natasha Jonas and Michaela Mayo, which I think is a really good women's matchup. You've got Erin McKenna and Lina Sadofia. That'll be pretty decent. And then you've got Jeffers and Brown. And I really think that, this might steal the show, might steal it. Although Cullen and Chelli looks pretty good as well. I did a video for that previously. Anyway, keep a lookout for this fight. If you've got any opinions on it, please let me know. Comments below as always. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and please hit the like button. It all helps spread the word about Joe Son of Boxing. Thanks a lot for your time. I'll catch you later. Bye for now.